Welcome to the Hybrid Warfare Analytical Group's UCMC podcast, where our analysts convene to delve into the realms of Russian disinformation, propaganda, and the influence of hybrid warfare in 2024. And in this episode, we will discuss the Indian PM, Prime Minister Modi, arriving today on Friday, the 21st of August to Kyiv. And this begs the question, why? Why now? So the questions we will be answering today are, why is Modi's visit important for Ukraine? And what interests does Modi pursue in the context of his visit to Kyiv? But before we get into the details, let me introduce my colleague and the head of the Hybrid Warfare Analytical Group, Volodymyr, and me, your host, Matt Wickham, an analyst of the Analytical Group as well. So, and what I've seen this morning is three narratives from the Russian propaganda side, and that is India is neutral. India is only here for its self-interest, and obviously the daily, weekly, monthly skepticism towards Zelensky, trying to discredit him in front of the Western audience. So we've got propaganda suggesting that India is only here to maintain a balanced stance by visiting both Putin and Zelensky, reinforcing its position of a neutral power rather than an ally to any side. However, what is quite interesting, Modi has been quite open in visiting areas destroyed by the Russian military, seeing the devastation the aggression has made today. To me, that doesn't seem quite neutral. Then obviously, self-interest, it implies that the visit is not only about supporting Ukraine, but aligning with the West, not only aligning with the West, but advancing India's own geopolitical and economical objectives. And then, as I said, the usual discrediting towards Zelensky, which is videos of Modi shaking Zelensky's hand and propaganda saying that this is the curse of Zelensky, the cursed handshake, which soon after it will be the end of a politician's career. Volodymyr, let's get into the detail a little bit more straight away. Why now? Why is Modi here? And why is this important for Ukraine?
Thanks, Matt, for asking these very actual issues of bilateral relations of Ukraine and India, which on the eve of Ukraine Independence Day receive a great boost because it is the first time when Indian Prime Minister officially visited Ukraine. So why it is so important for Ukraine? At first, India is the prominent actor at the so-called Global South, and many countries in the region perceive India as a counterbalancing power regarding raising Chinese ambitions, especially in the region of Southeast Asia. And through this visit, Ukraine represented itself for the countries, not just for India, but for the countries of the region, and to make its voice louder. And that is a chance for us to explain Ukraine's position regarding the peaceful negotiations and our vision of truthful and fair peace. And also it is very important in terms of Russian propaganda because Moscow uses mainly favorable perception of Soviet Union among Indians, while most of Indian population is not aware of Ukraine's role regarding Soviet support and Soviet helps to India during the times of Cold War.
Volodymyr, talking about, before we go into more kind of the interests, why today, the 21st of August, tomorrow will be Independence Day for Ukraine, significant, especially during the full-scale war. You've got today, the day of the national flag. Is there any kind of symbolic, diplomatic significance to choosing today for the visit?
I think that at first time, it is the thing of support for Ukraine in humanitarian sphere, because for India it is also very important in terms of its culture, which is combined not in political dimension, but as well as their religious beliefs, and that reflects that India tried to keep itself on a distance from both sides of the war, and at the same time it is attempt to counterbalance the visit of chairman of the State Council of the People's Republic of China to Moscow and Minsk, which reflects the geopolitical pressure between India and China. But at the same time, uh, direct negotiations and direct contact with Ukraine will maintain India as a close ally of the Western partners, Western countries, which perceived the recent visit of Modi to Moscow as a sign of unloyalty from India to the Western powers. And that may reflect attempts of Indian diplomacy to declare its neutral status and escape pressure on India, given that India increased the volume of Russian products on its market. So there is a direct link between India's interests in Ukrainian military-industrial complex, given that Russia fall into the arms of Indian geopolitical opponent, because China may pressure on Russia in terms of lifting support for Indian militaries. And I'd like just to mention that during Soviet times, India received thousands of Soviet equipments, and India is heavily dependent on Russian technical support. And Ukraine may help it with such gears and its experience in maintaining Soviet types of weaponry. But also but also we may negotiate regarding new types of weaponry, especially drones, because it is a cheap weaponry but very, very precise, and Ukraine is a leading country in this revolutionary dimension of modern warfare.
I actually saw some information yesterday where the fastest growing defense companies worldwide at the moment, and that's Ukraine's defense company industry, is growing faster than any other industry in the world right now, which obviously shows the need and the success in building these drones, a lot of them being cheap but effective, as you're saying. Last question for you, really a really quick one, but this is the one that I've seen floating around Russian propaganda space today, and that's Modi. They've been telling that Modi has not come to give a message from Putin. However, he will give a message back to Putin in regards to how ready Ukraine may or may not be for negotiations. How does this narrative at all help Russian propaganda? Why is this one of the narratives, do you think, that is being spread right now?
Well, such a mood portrays Modi as not as a leader of a great geopolitical superpower of Asia, but as a communicator between Putin and Zelensky. So that is not an interest for Indian leader to be like a mediator, because at this point, both sides are not ready to achieve any result in negotiations.
And I have one last question, a quick one here. Do you think India is trying to play this neutral role at the moment? It has been, however, as you're saying, it's not neutral considering it's providing funds to Russia. Who, at this moment in time, could you say India is more interested in winning this war? Is it more interested in Russia winning this war? Would it get far more than if Ukraine was to win?
I think that the war is not a significant factor of Indian internal policy. And if the situation will be freezed, that will be ok for India, because it received its economical benefits. I'd like to remind that just during the last 2 years, the turnover between Russia and India increased several times, from $15 billion in 2022 up to $65 billion in 2024. So the Western powers are quite disappointed, especially United States, with India's reluctance to use its economical and diplomatic ties with Moscow in terms of not playing a significant role in attempts to make a political pressure on Moscow and just to receiving its economical benefits.
Thank you very much for your time, Volodymyr. This has given us definitely the knowledge we need to be able to better understand this visit. And we will also see how this visit will develop and what happens as a result of this diplomatic visit of Modi, the Prime Minister of India, to Ukraine. Thank you, and until next time. Bye-bye.